And now, on Kim Radio, talk that matters, the host of SD Sports Buzz Tonight, here's Nate Brown.
Well, hi again, everybody. Welcome back into the program. SD Sports Buzz Tonight, presented by Save-A-Lot Food Stores on East St. Patrick Street in Rapid City. Glad to have you back on board and ready to go over the next 2 hours. A lot of football talk to get to, no question. The college football season exciting in Rapid City, and a big old rivalry coming back to O'Hara Stadium this Saturday. We'll talk about it. Battle for the Eagle Rock Trophy. Chadron State visiting South Dakota Mines on Saturday afternoon, which it turns out seems like it's going to be better weather than we have out there this evening. Some rain showers in Rapid City. We'll welcome you into the program listening on 106.7 FM Kim Talk Radio and also online streaming at sdsportsbuzz.com, wherever you may be. Welcome back in, Nate Brown. Glad to be back. SD Sports Buzz Tonight. If it's Wednesday night, South Dakota Sports Talk night, let's run through the lineup and we'll get to it. I'll get my picks out as I have been doing all season long. And fairly solid. There's been some surprises, but fairly solid on the high school football picks, and I'll make them coming up. Also want to get your thoughts on some folks this weekend that you have to look at. There's some great opportunities to watch some football Thursday night tomorrow. So remember, get out there, folks, support high school football tomorrow night. It's bumped up to Thursday. It's the last week of the regular season, if you can believe it. Thursday night, Central Stevens tomorrow night. And then on Saturday afternoon, Chadron State, South Dakota Mines. We'll preview it all right here. Tonight, we'll have Zach Tinker on, head coach for the Hard Rockers, who are 5-2. They lose on the road to Colorado Mines this past weekend, just the second loss of the year. Trying to bounce back this Saturday at home. Zach Tinker straight ahead. We'll talk to the Chadron State head coach, Jay Long. Jay Long was a guy that played at Chadron State, went and coached at Black Hill State. Now he's back coaching as the head man at Chadron State. And the Eagles have been a program, you know it, very, very good over the years. Really solid NCAA Division II program with great players. And you know, Danny Woodhead, Don Beebe, some of these guys that have done a great job out of Chadron State. They come in after a 73-0 win last week over New Mexico Highlands. Chadron State trying to take down the Hard Rockers. We'll talk to both coaches right here. Jump into the NFL. We'll preview the Broncos matchup this week. It'll be interesting. Brock Osweiler and the Houston Texans. Osweiler leaves the Broncos, now goes to Houston. We'll talk to Denver Broncos insider Doug Ottewill with Mile High Sports Magazine and milehighsports.com. That's straight ahead. Into the high school scene, we got to get a preview of tomorrow night's matchup. Thursday night, O'Hara Stadium, Central Stevens. I think probably one of the best Central Stevens games you're going to see in quite some time, actually. I really do. I think it's going to be really evenly matched. We'll talk to head coach Rob Sales for the Cobblers, head coach Scott Hagan for the Raiders coming up tonight. Douglas Patriots head man Dan Maciejczak back on. How about that win they had over Yankton? They've had some wins here that I think surprised quite a few people at the AA level. The Douglas Patriots keep on battling. They beat Brookings, and then they beat Yankton this past week. We'll talk to Coach Magic straight ahead. St. Thomas More is really rolling. They're in control. Looks like they're going to be the 2 seed more than likely in the Class 11A playoffs. They've got a game this week, but I don't think it'll be too much of a test. St. Thomas More head coach Wayne Sullivan will talk about their chances in the playoffs. And we'll get the show started straight ahead with Jason Andera from Sioux Falls Midcoast Sports Network. Does a great job covering high school football. We got you covered from high school to college to the pros tonight. First, my picks. Browns best in the books for the final week of the high school regular season. Have to get my best games out there. There's not a lot of great ones, actually, when you look at the last week of the regular season. Not a lot of great ones. But I'll start with the matchup way out east, 11 AAA. Not a lot of you folks I get maybe necessarily care too much about this, but this is the big game people are talking about in high school football this week outside of Rapid City. The big game is 8-0 Sioux Falls Roosevelt against 8-0 Sioux Falls Washington. And I've broken it down. I've talked to my guys in Sioux Falls as well. I've really looked at how this could go. Roosevelt was the early favorite at the start of the year. If you remember, at 11 AAA, Sioux Falls Roosevelt seemed like really the team to beat. I think Sioux Falls, Washington has come along, and I think they've really come along much quicker with their progression, with their ability than a lot of people thought. I think people thought Washington was going to be good, but they seem like they're just as good as Roosevelt. You look at the common opponents between these two powerhouse teams in 11 AAA, Roosevelt and Washington, played some common opponents. The margins of victory were very, very close. I talked about the Stevenson Central game tomorrow night here. I think it's going to be a really evenly matched game. One of the better ones we've seen, I think, over the years, in recent memory anyway, for tomorrow night. I think they're going to see the same thing out there in Sioux Falls at Howard Wood. Roosevelt, Washington, both teams unbeaten, trying to stay in control of that number one spot for the 11 AAA playoffs. And I'm just going to give the edge to Sioux Falls, Roosevelt. Just going to give them a slight edge from where they started. They've been at the top. I think they have the better athletes in a few spots. Sioux Falls Roosevelt beat Sioux Falls Washington in a close one. That's my East River pick. They can pay respect to me later. I don't make too many East River picks, but I had to put that game in Brown's best. So there's that one. Roosevelt over Washington, a battle of unbeaten teams in AAA football. Then we get into some West River matchups. I said not a lot of great matchups. I don't have St. Thomas More in my picks this week. Don't have Sturgis in my picks this week. Some of those games I think could be a little lopsided. A couple of games I'm watching. Douglas against Belle-Fourche. The Patriots just beat Yankton 14-7, a defensive struggle. And Dan Machachek's defense has been really good out at Douglas. I absolutely believe that. They've been really good out at Douglas. I'll take Douglas over Belle-Fourche. The Patriots get them out of there at Patriot Stadium out in Box Elder. And I think Douglas actually is probably going to pull away in that game. Belle-Fourche not as good as they have been in the past. Douglas wins pretty easily at home. Some people looked at that matchup. Sometimes Douglas has been inconsistent with some of their young players, but I think they'll win. After the win over Yankton, they'll beat Belle-Fourche, I think, pretty handily. Here's a matchup. Hot Springs is at Spearfish. 11A Hot Springs at 11 AA Spearfish. Spearfish has seen some really bright spots this year, some quality games that they've played, and then some games that they want back. Just got hammered by St. Thomas More. Spearfish barely getting by Sturgis last week. Sturgis has struggled mightily. So I think Ben Kramer and Hot Springs will get it done. I'll take Hot Springs on the road to beat Spearfish by more than a touchdown. Hot Springs wins on the road at Spearfish. And the big game we're all waiting for tomorrow night, I've talked about this one a little bit, Central Stevens. We've had these coaches on all year, and I've told people in the community as we've looked at, they're not where they want to be and where they need to be win-wise. They're not quite there yet. Stevens, 3 wins. Central, 2 wins. They're not quite there. They've been more competitive. There's no doubt about that in the games that they've played, but they're just not able to quite match up yet with some of the depth, some of the key teams in 11 AAA football. But I will say this. I've told people as I've watched it, they've made strides with both of those programs, and it's been a pretty stark contrast, especially this year. I do believe that. They've made strides from the last year or two in both of those programs. It's Stevens and it's Central. They're evenly matched going into this game tomorrow night at O'Hara Stadium. The Central-Stevens rivalry is always a lot of fun. I think it's going to be a little nicer weather than the wet stuff we have out there tonight. Central is a lot better than they were last year. They're a lot better than they were last year. Are they good enough to beat a Stevens team that also has been improving over the past few years? They've been improving, maybe not such a big jump with the Raiders, maybe not such a big jump from year to year to year as Central saw from last year to this year, and that's where I give Stevens just the little edge tomorrow night. Brown's best, my picks will be starting with Stevens beating Central in a tight one. And that's a tough one for me to do because Central is going to be right in there. Few plays here or there, they could win that game. I do believe that. Stevens, though, just a little more consistency over the last few years, just a little more. They've got a nice running game. That's something that they can get the job done fairly consistently. Central's been a little sporadic offensively, so I'll give the Raiders a slight edge tomorrow night. They'll win a close one over Central. Cobbler fans trying to get around the corner, trying to turn the corner. They're almost getting there. Really big improvements on both sides. So I'll take the Raiders to win tomorrow night in a tight one over Central. Douglas beats Belle-Fourche pretty easily. Hot Springs, not going to be too close, I don't think. I think Hot Springs will win on the road at Spearfish. And Roosevelt over Washington in the battle of unbeaten Sioux Falls teams. Brown's Best in the books. We'll talk about the matchups in the high school last week of the regular season with Midcoast Sports Network's Jason Andera. He joins me live next from Sioux Falls. This is SD Sports Buzz Tonight.
Make the mountains your backyard. Make the lake your pool and the night sky your high-definition television. Stop by Dakota Discount RVs today and take a look at our wide variety of new and used fifth wheels, travel trailers, toy haulers, and more. We're sure you'll find something you love at a price you can afford. We take pride in our integrity and service long after the deal, so why pay more for good memories when you can buy with a comfortable, low-pressure, locally owned and operated RV dealer? At Dakota Discount RV, we can make your dreams come true at an affordable price.
3330 East Mall Drive, Rapid City. Your sports, your show. This is SD Sports Buzz Tonight with Nate Brown on Kim Radio. Talk that matters.
Fall is in the air, and now is a great time to get into a pre-owned all-wheel drive vehicle with low rates and payments. Buy a 2015 Chevy Equinox all-wheel drive for $296 a month. No money down, no payments for 90 days. Buy a 2015 Chevy Cruze for $199 a month. No money down, no payments for 90 days. The largest selection of certified and used vehicles in western South Dakota. Your new road starts here. Feel the difference at Rapid Chevrolet Cadillac. Exit 60 Rapid City or online at rapidchevrolet.com.
Dale's Tire and Retreading has been providing quality brands of tires and excellent service to the Black Hills area for over 50 years. Dale's Tires sells tires for cars, trucks, SUVs, agriculture, construction, and more. Dale's Tire has what you need when you need it and offers appointment times to get you in and out faster. See the experts at Dale's Tire and Retreading. 2 convenient locations in Rapid City, 691 Deadwood Avenue and 3200 Campbell Street. Dale's Tire and Retreading. Looking for a winning team? Check out the Black Hills unbeatable tandem of Xerox and the color experts at Matheson's. Hit a home run with a Xerox Workcenter MFP today, and you'll be able to print, copy, and scan your crucial business documents and marketing materials just like the pros do. Matheson's cost per copy program is the safe play every time. You pay nothing up front for the equipment, and the high cost of supplies and repairs become a nightmare of the past. Visit the Matheson's team of Xerox All-Stars at 324 St. Joe Street, downtown Rapid City, or at mathesons.com.
Welcome back, SD Sports Buzz Tonight, live on 106.7 FM Kim Talk Radio, Rapid City's talk station, and also streaming at sdsportsbuzz.com. Presented by Save-A-Lot Food Stores. You can follow me on Twitter at Nate Sports Guy. Glad you're back and excited about the last week of the high school football regular season. It seems like it goes faster and faster. I don't know what that is. I was talking to Jason Andera off the air. As we get older, the season still goes faster. I guess that's a good sign, Jason. How are you?
It does. I guess it is a good sign, but you hear that from everybody every year, but it is so true. And here we are again at the end of the high school football season.
And the weather's been pretty good. I mean, we have to be thankful for that. The weather's been pretty solid. We're a little wet out here tonight, but it should be okay for tomorrow night. And we'll talk about the matchup a little bit. Rapid City Stevens and Rapid City Central. I'll get your thoughts on that later. I want to go out to, I guess, the big game, the Battle of Sioux Falls, and it's the Battle of 11 AAA. It seems like 8-0 Roosevelt, 8-0 Sioux Falls, Washington. I've been obviously separated from those teams, haven't seen them a lot, but I look at just who they have on their team, the plays they've made, the common opponents between the two, the scores, and I go, could we have a more evenly matched game? That's what it looks like tomorrow night.
I could not agree with you more. I've had more people ask me, how do I think that game is going to go? And I have no idea. It's going to come down to a couple turnovers, who takes care of the ball. And I guess the big X factor in this game is Jaden Johansson, the quarterback for Sioux Falls, Washington, because out in Rapid City last week at the Stevens game, he went down in the first quarter, and talked to Chad Statham, his quarterback or his head coach, and he's not sure the status yet, or he won't tell me, one of the two, of how he's going to be come Thursday night. So that will be a huge factor to look for in this game tomorrow night.
So if they don't have a quarterback, Sioux Falls, Washington, or their starter, that's obviously going to alter the situation big time. It's not like they've got somebody just raring and ready to go, even though I know they have a backup, but what's the story?
Yeah. Well, and the backup that they have is junior Seth Benson. And actually, when Seth was a freshman, he was called into duty as a quarterback, as a backup quarterback 2 years ago in the playoffs when they went down. So he's mainly a linebacker. He starts at receiver sometimes, and he's had experience at quarterback. And when he did come into the Stevens game last week, he was able to run for a touchdown, throw for a touchdown. So probably not as big of a factor as you might think, but definitely a step down from Jaden Johansson.
Boy, that's interesting because there's probably not a lot of programs that can go from a starter and go to a second-place guy. I mean, the second-string guys usually, here comes a sophomore who hasn't played or something like that. I will say with Roosevelt, Washington, I look at it, Roosevelt has been the team in the preseason that was number one. They stayed there. Some people started to think, well, look at Washington. They're right there, too. But Roosevelt seems like the team that everybody thought was going to be the team to beat. Do you think Sioux Falls, Washington has come along quicker than people thought they would?
Well, for sure. I think most of us looked at that at the beginning of the season and said, at the beginning of the year, Roosevelt's better, and we thought by this time they would be pretty even. Well, Washington has ramped that up by having an undefeated season and going out and just lambasting a few teams that we didn't think that they probably would. And that's because these young guys that they have are incredible. Tupac Capella ran for 300 yards in the Stevens game last week. He is just a sophomore. Of course, starting quarterback Jaden Johansson, a sophomore. Their best receiver, a junior, Logan Utek, into full mode. He is unbelievable. And their best defensive player, also a junior. And then they also have a center named Will Farniak, and if you follow South Dakota football, you know that if you have a Farniak on the line, you're doing pretty well. So none of those guys are seniors, so we really thought it would take them a while to gel, but boy, they have done that, and probably a little more than advertised.
It sounds like you're giving Sioux Falls, Washington a preseason number one vote for 2017. That's kind of what it sounds like.
Yes, it does, but I remember kind of saying the same thing about this Roosevelt team last year, and how many juniors and sophomores they had last season. So, yeah, a lot of talent is going to be on that field in Howard Wood, a lot of future college football players duking it out for an intra-city rival.
Big game tomorrow night out in Sioux Falls. The game out here in AAA maybe doesn't quite have the same scenario with the records, but I've said this as I've followed these two programs the last couple of years. Stevens and Central play tomorrow night, and I think we have an evenly matched game. Stevens 3 wins, Central 2 wins, but I look at it, Central is kind of like Washington. They've come along quicker as opposed to last year. They've come along from last year to now, a big improvement. Stevens, improvements, but maybe not quite as drastic, as Central. I gave the edge to Stevens. What have you been looking at here in this matchup with Central and Stevens?
You know, and the word you get around Sioux Falls is, wow, these guys are better than they were a year ago.
Right.
Improvement out of both teams. And even though the scores sometimes look the same, I hear that from Coach Nelson here at Roosevelt. Wow, they hit us. They played a lot more physical than they did last year. Wow, Caleb Walton Blandon, he is an athlete and a half. We couldn't stop him in the second half. Of course, they didn't have all the starters in, but they still couldn't stop him. And you look at a guy like Mason Archambault. He came out and played at O'Gorman a couple of weeks ago. They couldn't stop him. He made 12 catches and has been on fire the last couple of weeks. So a lot of athletes, we know that for sure. Probably just not quite the depth that we see on the Sioux Falls side, but we're hearing good things. And like you probably on the Sioux Falls side, you don't see them a lot. I only see the Rapid City teams a couple times a year. But, boy, they have looked a lot quicker, a lot stronger than they have in the past few years.
Yeah, and you hit it right on the money. Stevens and Central, they're better teams. I've said that throughout this whole year, that those programs are getting better And
Yeah.
I think this might be the best Stevens Central game that we've seen out here in recent years. I think it's going to be an evenly matched game. I did give Stevens just the slight edge, but it wouldn't surprise me if Central was able to get it done. How about this game in 11A last week? Got everybody's attention out here. St. Thomas More has kind of had the door open here a little bit. They're sitting still number 2 in 11A when it comes to power points because T jumped them. T gets down 25-0 against Madison. They come back and win it 28-25. What happened there?
Yeah, what happened? That's what Madison is still saying to this point because Madison's a fourth quarter team, and they got really just hit on the quick passes and the downfield passing of Peyton Conrad. T Area has got themselves a quarterback, folks. This guy is top shelf, and he's not a secret in the state anymore. Peyton Conrad just basically willed his team to victory, and they did that, by the way. They shut out the Madison offense in the second half without their top tackler and defensive player, Jeremiah Maka. It just goes to show this T Area team, for one thing, they were not intimidated. And talking to him after the game, you would have thought maybe this is the best win in our school's history. You know, we're going to be jumping up and down. We just won the championship. No, they were all business. Yeah, they celebrated a little bit, but they did not take it out of context. This is a team that really believes like they belong at the top of 11A and belong playing teams like Madison, which we just talked about this, I think, a week or two ago. I really thought Madison was head and shoulders above the rest.
Right.
I thought they could play with T into the fourth quarter, but they just have more weapons than anybody, and I just thought they would outlast them. Well, just the opposite happened. They got outlasted by the T Titans.
It's interesting when you look at this 11A playoff scenario now. If things just go the way I think they're going to go, St. Thomas More wins, T wins, Madison wins, even though Madison has a team like Millbank there this week. If things go this week, how do you see 11A panning out here, Jason? Because you now look at there could be a matchup down the road with a St. Thomas More Madison, a 2-3 matchup in a semifinal. I mean, that maybe wasn't what the Cavaliers were expecting.
Well, exactly. But they will probably have a home game, St. Thomas More will. And I guarantee you St. Thomas More remembers last season when maybe they were thinking a round ahead, and I don't think they'll be thinking that way this year. So they're, you're going to get the coaches talking coach talk. They're going to take it one game at a time. But I believe exactly what you said. I think St. Thomas More is going to host a semifinal game against a really good 3 seed, whoever that's going to be, probably Madison at this point. And they're going to have their hands full. But what St. Thomas More has done this year, they cannot overlook the Cavaliers with a veteran quarterback. I mean, we remember what St. Thomas More has done with some second-year quarterbacks in the past. When they have that experience behind them, they usually find a way to make it to the championship game. And I really am impressed with Preston Arity and the way he guides this team. But he's not the only one. You know that as well as I do. They have explosive playmakers all over the field, and I think just as many as Madison. And again, it comes down to physicality, and I always give Madison the little edge on that. They are a very physical team. But we've got 3 very good teams in 11A. It's going to be an interesting class, probably the most interesting of all 7 classes.
I think so. You look at it 1 through 8, even 1 through 8, I think you're going to see some really interesting first-round playoff matchups in 11A football. 1 week left. It happens tomorrow night. High school football covered really, really well. Midco Sports Network, the place for all your high school highlights, Varsity Sports Live. Jason Andera does a great job. Appreciate it, Jason. Enjoy it tomorrow.
As always, thanks for having me. And, we'll be on Friday night instead of Thursday night. You'll have a day to soak those highlights in and get ready for our show.
Excellent. Appreciate it. Jason Andera tonight on the Mills Auto Body Sports Line. There he goes. Appreciate his time. Good stuff when it comes to high school football and the 11A scenario. St. Thomas More fans that listen to this program, we've had Craig Maddock come on here saying that St. Thomas More's good enough, and he thinks they're going to be at the Dome. That was way back in the day. Jason Andera starting to think that the Cavaliers are right there as well, and I've thought that as well. St. Thomas More really hasn't been talked much about, and I think it goes to the whole, strength of schedule and conversations that go down that road. St. Thomas More really, really looking good. There's no doubt about it. I think some people thought Spearfish would test them here a couple of weeks ago. No dice. Cavaliers have just blown away everybody. We'll come right back, get into the college football matchup on Saturday. Big game, Chadron State, South Dakota Mines. The rivalry is renewed for the first time in a long time. Saturday afternoon, a 1 o'clock kickoff. Head coach of the 5-2 Hard Rockers is Zach Tinker. Always a great interview, and he'll join me live next.
Come here, Claire Lopez, strategic policy and intelligence expert, former CIA operations officer, and current vice president for research and analysis at the Center for Security Policy. Claire Lopez will speak on the state of our national security at the Rapid City Ramkota, Saturday night, October 29th at 6:30. Claire Lopez, the state of our national security, Saturday night, October 29th at the Rapid City Ramkota. For more information, go to Act for America SD on Facebook.
The reason I go to Pro Auto Care is they're always good to me. They've been my mechanics for 6 years. I take it in on a regular basis for the oil changes, things like that. If they find something else wrong with it, they let you know, hey, you're going to need this done, or you might want to consider doing this. It's not oh, you need this done now. It's usually you can plan for it. They are the best. Wouldn't trust anybody with my vehicles but Pro Auto Care.
Pro Auto Care. Phone 342-0857, 1891 Rand Road, Rapid City. Getting you inside South Dakota sports. This is SD Sports Buzz Tonight with Nate Brown on Kim Radio. Talk that matters.
And we're back on the program, SD Sports Buzz Tonight on 106.7 FM Kim Talk Radio, and also online streaming live video. You can watch the YouTube channel on SDSportsBuzz.com. I don't know how we got hooked up with YouTube, but it's working. It's solid. And you can watch it at SDSportsBuzz.com. Also, all the interviews from tonight's show. If you miss anybody live, go to SDSportsBuzz.com tomorrow, and all the interviews are archived right there. You can listen to each podcast on your own time and on your own interest. The interesting stuff here tonight is we've got both coaches. We're previewing this matchup on Saturday afternoon at O'Hara Stadium. A big deal because Chadron State and South Dakota Mines haven't played for years. Used to be a great rivalry back in the day, and now it's renewed in the RMAC Conference. Chadron State visiting South Dakota Mines on Saturday, a 1 o'clock kickoff. And the Hard Rocker head football coach is Zach Tinker. He joins me on the Mel's Auto Body Sports Line. Coach, how are you?
Awesome, Nate. How about you?
I'm doing well. I want to get your take on how you guys feel this week. You have a great matchup coming in this Saturday, an exciting matchup just for the fans. I know it's just a regular game. You're trying to treat it. It's just another opponent you're trying to beat. Conference game, a big game. But how about the talk you've heard about this rivalry, Chadron State, South Dakota Mines? Really interesting matchup because it hasn't been played for a long time. What's the emotion like?
Yeah, I think it's new to everybody, and that's exciting. I mean, I think this is one of the things that people are certainly our fans, Rocker Nation, is excited about in terms of the move to the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference, is that we're getting these types of games and these types of matchups on a year-in, year-out basis. And anytime you get games that are regional games that are against, what you would consider rivals, certainly geographical rivals, that's always fun for the fans. It's exciting for the fans, and those games have a ton of juice. There's a ton of excitement around them, and you get to play for a trophy. And I think anytime you get an opportunity to play for a trophy, you got to put your best foot forward.
Hard Rockers and Eagles playing for the Eagle Rock Trophy, by the way, the rivalry trophy up for grabs again. Saturday, 1 o'clock kickoff. I do want to get your take on last week. You go to Colorado Mines. They jump on you early, and then you played well second, third, fourth quarter. What'd you put your finger on in the first quarter with the slow start that you try and correct?
Yeah, I mean, we just didn't play well. I mean, there's really not. I mean, we could talk about it for a long time. It's certainly going to be part of the post-mortem at the end of the season as far as, where we are as a program and why we had such an awful start to that game, and we'll go through that. But, we haven't had a lot chance to dwell on that. We've really moved on quickly, and we got our hands full with Chadron State. The last thing we need to be worried about is, what happened in the first quarter of Colorado Mines right now. I think our kids are going to come out with a ton of juice on Saturday. We played really well at home this season. Our fans have been unbelievable every single time we've been at home, and And I think you're seeing an electrifying style of football being played at Dunham Field at O'Hara Stadium, and people are excited to see it, and they can't wait for this coming Saturday.
Coach Zach Tinker on tonight, South Dakota Mines head football coach. They host Chadron State on Saturday at O'Hara Stadium. 1 o'clock kickoff should be a great day for college football. Hard Rockers are 5-2, needing another big RMAC win. Second, third, fourth quarter last week, you played well, though. What was your takeaway from the rest of that game that you liked?
Well, I mean, I think the spirit of our team is there, Nate. When you look at Hard Rocker football right now, we have a team that plays with a lot of character and a lot of toughness, and that's what our message has been, really from Jump Street, that we're going to play with that style of play. So it didn't surprise me at all. A lot of people said to me, boy, we really started playing better. Well, that didn't surprise me. What really surprised me was not playing well at the beginning, not that we played well most of the game. So, I expect us to come out and have a better energy about us. Frankly speaking, I thought we were a little nervous last week, and this team has been a pretty loose team. And I say that in a positive way, that our kids love playing together. They love going out. They play with a smile on their face. They play with enthusiasm. And if you lose your smile and you're a team that normally plays that way, you got to get it back. And today it was awesome. We were out in the rain. It was pouring on us today, and our kids had a blast. I mean, they wanted to stay out longer. I said, I'm about ready to go inside. And I'm from Seattle, so I'm used to getting rained on at practice. So our kids had a great time today. They're excited for the opportunity to present itself. And anytime you're back at home, when you play really good football at home and it's an RMAC game, this game right here is one of those reasons that players come to South Dakota Mines to play football, is to be involved in the type of Saturday afternoon that we're going to have here this coming weekend.
The Hard Rockers offensively, Coach, you've been the guy running the show for the last 4 years, really balanced this year. And when you look at the numbers, it's unbelievable. Only a few yards here or there separate the production through the air and the production on the ground. When you look at that, I'm sure you're not breaking it down yard by yard as you're, getting, planning out games and calling plays. But did that surprise you when you saw those numbers add up over this past week?
The system is really designed for the ball to go where the defense allows it to go, and so it's going to vary from week to week. Sometimes you're going to be throwing it a little bit more. Sometimes you're going to be running it a little bit more. Sometimes your big plays are all coming in the pass game. Sometimes you're intermixing some big plays in the run game. We have good running backs. We have a good offensive line. We have a dual-threat quarterback. All those things help you run the football. And so that doesn't surprise me necessarily, Nate. I think our offensive production has been pretty good. We need to be better in terms of not ever giving the football away. I know Chadron State does a great job of taking the football away. They've always been known for that. So we got to do a great job there. And I do think we need to certainly improve as we get a little bit closer to the goal line. We need to be a little bit more proficient when we get close to the goal line. And, no, the yards really don't mean much to me. I think yards, I know we've had a lot of yards this season. I do think it's the most overrated statistic in college football. I mean, all we're trying to do on Saturday is find a way to score one more point in Chadron State. That's all we care about. And if they score 2, we got to score 3. And if they score 42, we got to find a way to score 43. Whatever that is, we got to find a way. And we're going to be challenged like all get out on Saturday. This is a tough football team that's used to being very, very successful. And I know they're very hungry, and they came off of a huge win last week. So we're going to have our hands full, but that's why you play at South Dakota Mines, is for the opportunity to play in this kind of game.
Couple more, and I'll let you run. Zach Tinker on tonight. Hard Rocker head football coach previewing Saturday's matchup against Chadron State. It's a 1 o'clock kickoff at O'Hara Stadium. Chadron State, you talked about it, they're used to being successful. Great program. They've had some great players over the years. This is a program that's used to winning. They're 2-5 overall. A team like that dangerous, Coach?
Well, yeah, because I think when you really look at it, if you were to break it down, of their 5 losses, you could easily say 4 of them were just had some bad luck in those games. This is not I would put the record aside, and when you watch the video, you're looking at a very competitive Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference team. And I think it's been proven that this year in the RMAC has just been a fight every single week for every single team. There really is. It's bunched up at the top. It's bunched in the middle. It's hard to win on the road in this league right now. And like I said, they've just kind of had some bad breaks in their games that they've lost. And, I never want to play a team that starts to feel good about themselves, So I know we're going to be in for a huge challenge on Saturday. I know that, the last couple of times out, they've played better. And so, and we need to play our best football. We love playing at home, Nate. I mean, I'm really glad that this game isn't down in Chadron. I'm glad that it's here because this is where we've played our best football. We've played our best football in front of our fans. Our fans, we feel, have been better this season than any time I've ever been here. And we expect Rocker Nation to show up in force on Saturday and bring the juice because that's what's been able to help us get the wins we have, and we're looking for another one Saturday.
What are the fans going to see from Chadron State, especially on the offensive side? What's Chadron State been doing all year?
Well, Chadron State is known for, and I think they hang their hat on the fact that they're a physical football team that runs the ball. And certainly they have great running backs. They have a big physical offensive line, and they're a tough-minded football team that runs it really well. And then they take their chances in the pass game after they set through the run. But I think they really do play through their run game. So we're going to be in those defensive looks where we're gonna gear up and we have to be able to keep them from running the football with great efficiency. So that's what we're going to see. And then defensively, they just they have some really good players in that front seven. Again, a tough-minded defense that way, and some talent in the back end as well. So we're going to have a good challenge in front of us. There's no question that I think you're going to see a competitive RMAC football game on Saturday.
By the way, I've talked about it before, but I'll mention it again. The Hard Rockers going to be in special gray jerseys. This is a great opportunity. Hard Rocker football teaming up with Northwestern Mutual to benefit the Alex's Lemonade Stand, a foundation that fights childhood cancer. So Hard Rockers going to be wearing special gray, and the auction has started for these game jerseys at GoRockers.com, and the proceeds to benefit a worthwhile cause, no question about it. So, Coach, you get ready. You're going to have the gray on. It's going to be a different look. It'll be a fun one. Looking forward to it. I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, I think you're going to like those things. These jerseys might catch on a little bit here, and they, some of our boys don't want to give them up after the game. I know I think that's the thing that's exciting for our fans is they get an opportunity to get a game-worn jersey, from one of our players right off our players' backs. And so I know I've already got a couple bids in on some jerseys, so if anybody wants to outbid Coach Tink, they're going to have to pay up.
And by the way, they're going to be washed after the game, so we're solid there, too. We'll be okay. Coach, I appreciate it. Thanks.
Rock on, Nate. Thanks.
All right. Zach Tinker tonight, head coach for the 5-2 Hard Rockers. Big matchup Saturday. Really exciting matchup. Talked to a lot of people around the community. Everybody's excited about this one. Chadron State, South Dakota Mines. I mean, we always get excited about Black Hill State, South Dakota Mines, but this one's starting to get up there. And I don't know if it's because it hasn't been played for a long time, but a lot of people talking about the Chadron State, South Dakota Mines matchup Saturday, 1 o'clock kickoff at O'Hara Stadium. The Hard Rockers trying to move to 6-2, continuing their great season. We come right back and talk to Jay Long straight ahead, Chadron State head coach, to preview that side of things. First, jump into the NFL with Broncos writer Doug Ottewill. Denver Broncos Report, live next on SD Sports Buzz tonight.
Quality and service first. Mel's Auto Body. Get a drive-through estimate or come on in. We're right here under the big red M. Over 30 years, our family has put quality and service first. We take pride in making sure you're satisfied. Quality and service first. Mel's Auto Body.
Insurance. We all need it to protect our homes, health, businesses, and belongings. But having adequate coverage is just the beginning. You also need the support of professionals who stand by your side to protect what's important to you. Fisher Rounds & Associates combines the coverage you want with the commitment you need. Fisher Rounds & Associates. At your service, at your side. With offices in Pierre, Mitchell, Watertown, Sioux Falls, and Rapid City.
In Rapid City, you've got a friend in real estate. Hi, I'm Ellen Roach. When buying or selling your home or property, Will Dixon is the man to see.
Will invites you to experience the Keller Williams culture. Whether you're buying or selling, he can assist you through the entire process with a free market analysis and advise you on all your options. Will handles all phases of real estate and has built a track record for success. Call Will Dixon at Keller Williams Black Hills, 390-1140, and let him be your friend in real estate.
Welcome back to South Dakota Sports Talk Show, live and local, 106.7 FM Kim Talk Radio. Hope you're having a good week. Glad you're locked in. It's Nate Brown on SDSportsBuzz.com as well with a live video stream right there. So you can listen to us on the air on Rapid City's only FM talker. Your home for Imus in the morning. And also on SDSportsBuzz.com live video stream. You can watch us anywhere. Remember, SDSportsBuzz.com, your home for all these interviews archived tomorrow. If you miss anybody tonight, all the interviews archived in podcast form tomorrow. You can listen to them right there. Coming up, Chadron State head coach Jay Long previewing this matchup on Saturday at O'Hara Stadium. Should be a beautiful day for college football and a great rivalry with South Dakota Mines taking on Chadron State, an NCAA Division II showdown. And the rivalry is renewed. Battle for the Eagle Rock Trophy. Haven't played this one for many, many years, and now they're back as conference rivals. A 1 o'clock kick. We'll talk to Jay Long, head coach at Chadron State, former Chadron State player, now their head coach, straight ahead. Jump into the NFL. We always need a Denver Broncos report, and for that, one of our guys does a great job, MileHighSports.com. You can read his stuff there. Mile High Sports Radio and Mile High Sports Magazine's Doug Ottewill on the Mel's Auto Body Sports Line. Doug, how are you?
I'm good, man. What's going on?
I'll tell you what, I'm starting to worry a little bit. I haven't talked to you for a week or so. Starting to worry a little bit up here. That's just me. And I've been talking on the program and hearing a lot of people up here worrying a little bit. What's the thought down there? Is there starting to be some worry? Because I'm seeing some of these reports, I don't know if they're legitimate or not, some of the reports of a Tony Romo type trade here potentially. Is that garbage, or is there any validity to that?
I don't know if there's any validity to it happening. I think there's some validity to the idea, and that actually was originally our own columnist idea, and then it got picked up a few different other places.
Oh, is that right? You guys started that. I see.
Yeah, we did start the rumor. And by no means was anybody saying, hey, this is going to happen, or this, inside source says, or anything like that. It was more of a throw it out there, and the writer did the analysis and said, look, this is what it would take. This could be a potential solution for not just Denver, but for Dallas too. And it kind of caught fire, and people started saying, well, hey, this is something that they should look at, or this is something that they should do, because I think, and,
do you like it? Do you like it? Do you like it, by the way, Doug? And then I'll let you, do you like the idea?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I like Tony Romo. I just think that you'd be bringing in a major risk in terms of health, and at a big number. And I know people say, hey, that's exactly what you did with Peyton Manning, and look how it paid off. But Romo's just, Manning had never been hurt. He was a real, iron horse, so to speak. And, but Romo was kind of, he's always hurt. So I think you'd be inheriting something with pretty high mileage. So I don't love it. Then again, you're in a position where you have a defense that can win you a title, and that window is narrow and it closes fast. So if you catch lightning in the bottle and you do get a healthy Tony Romo, he could be the perfect fit. It'd be short term for sure, and I know that's not something that Elway likes, but it could happen. I mean, I don't see it being a terrible idea. I just think that the risk of bringing in a guy that's hurt is pretty great, and then the long-term benefit is pretty small, because I do think that Romo's, I wouldn't say last leg, that's not fair, but you're getting something that's not really got a lot of future ahead of it, I don't think.
I look at where we're at here with the quarterback scenario. I said I'm beginning to worry a little bit. I know it's just been a couple of games. I understand. What's the worry like in Denver Bronco on the inside, do you think? Is there a pretty big concern there?
Well, I think from the market in general, I think, there's rightfully a lot of questions being asked, and there's a lot of people who were once gigantic Trevor Siemian, oh man, this is the greatest, late round pick ever, and look what Gary Kubiak discovered and all that. But, you watch him against the Chargers and you think, this guy is we've seen this guy, and this guy looks a lot like Brian Griese. He's got a lot of really good things about him. He's got a really sharp mind, and he understands the system, and he plays conservatively. He doesn't make the big mistake, but at the same time, and it's hard to really say, and it's probably not even fair to say it about Trevor Siemian, but he just looks like a backup. I mean, he just looks like a guy that's good enough to carry you through some tough spots, or good enough to, keep the locker room together, or whatever you want to call it. But he doesn't look to me like a guy that's going to inspire anybody to make a big play, or he's not the guy to make a big play. That's the thing. And it's really hard to scientifically evaluate. But if you remember from watching John Elway, and that's part of the problem in Denver, is everybody does. You just knew that guy was going to make a play when it mattered. You knew that somehow, some way, he was going to make a play, whether it was with his feet, whether it was with his arm, a combination. He was going to make a play. And I think that the issue right now is people are watching Trevor Siemian and they're saying, guy's not that guy. He's just not. Whereas you look at Paxton Lynch and you say, that guy might be that guy, but he doesn't know enough to carry a team for 4 quarters.
Right.
And that's kind of where the rock and the hard place is right now in Denver.
How about we're talking to Doug Ottewell. You can read his stuff, milehighsports.com. Mile High Sports Magazine does a great job covering the Denver Broncos. Broncos Monday Night Football game coming up here against Houston. I mean, this is the deal. Brock Osweiler leaves, goes to Houston, and this is the matchup that's been circled here. I'm just wondering, the Broncos defense, worst performance I've seen in the last couple of years was this past week. Do they get things cleaned up? I mean, or am I mistaken? Was that not the worst? I mean, it just seems like they couldn't quite put it together either.
Yeah, I think, it's fair to be critical of their last game against Chargers because it was not their best game. But if you're looking for reasons to think that this defense is okay, I mean, I still have those. I mean, I look at them and I say, look, and I heard a stat the other day that was kind of interesting. Basically, they're one of the worst defenses in the NFL on first drives. They've given up a lot of points. They have a lot of point differential.
Yeah.
But in the fourth quarter, they're the best. And I'd rather have a team that makes plays and plays great when you need it to, as opposed to the first quarter. And look, they're not getting a whole lot of help. They can't stay off the field at all. I mean, the offense just can't put together a drive. So the defense is tired, I guess. Does
Osweiler struggle against the Broncos Monday night? Does he struggle against this defense?
Man, I think he will. I think if nothing else, Wade Phillips is going to have his guys' ears pinned back, and they're going to go after him. No one really says it, but there is an absolute feeling within the Broncos that he essentially bolted town. I mean, he just, and I know it's different between, say, a John Elway and some member of the defense, but I really think, and especially as it plays into, the Broncos potentially having some quarterback issues right now, if they think that Brock was good, then they're mad at him because he left. If they think that he's bad, they're mad at him because hey, why would you leave? We just won the Super Bowl.
Right.
I think there's a lot of personal feelings in this game, and you know, the guys on the team are pretty smart about what they do and don't say in the paper. Although Brandon Marshall just came out this week and said we want to kill him. I mean, there's no question in my mind, whether it's John Elway or somebody like Von Miller, they want to make the point that he made a big mistake. And I think that that's going to show out on Monday night. I mean, I really believe that this defense is going to be gunning for him in a major way. And, you know, and I think he knows that. And I don't really have anything against Brock, but I think, you know, his stats last year, if you really look at them, were pretty mediocre. And right now in Houston, they're about the same. They're pretty mediocre. He just doesn't have a great defense, or doesn't have as good a defense as the Broncos were last year behind him.
But Houston, I'm telling you, Houston's okay. I mean, they've had a pretty tough schedule when you're talking Patriots, Vikings. I mean, come on now. That's a pretty tough schedule. I think Monday night's going to be an interesting game. I mean, because the Broncos' offense isn't lighting anybody's fire right now.
Yeah, but look how bad Brock was in the first half of was it Monday night? No, it was Thursday night. My fault. Yeah, I mean, he wasn't that good. I'm sorry, Sunday night's game.
Right.
I just don't think that guy's that good. And you take out Hopkins, who he kind of targets nonstop, and I think the Broncos secondary absolutely can take out a receiver. I mean, that's what they did with Julio Jones. And I think he gets a little bit lost if he doesn't have his whoopee, so to speak. So I really expect, and I could be wrong, but this team coming off of 2 losses that are kind of embarrassing. From the defensive side, I think they're going to come out and just play the game of the year.
Yeah.
On the offense, I still think you have the same question mark.
Yeah, that could be the scenario. I mean, the defense, I think you're right, is going to be ready to go. They haven't had too many blemishes over the last couple of years. Last week was one of them. And then they even struggled the prior week before that a little bit. Can the offense turn the corner? Monday Night Football matchup should be good stuff. You can read it and get ready. Read the previews, ready to go in the next couple of days. MileHighSports.com. Doug Ottewell talking Broncos tonight. Appreciate it, Doug. Thanks.
Hey, we'll see you later, Nate.
All right, Doug Ottewell on the Mel's Auto Body Sports Line from Denver, MileHighSports.com. Back to the Saturday matchup here in Rapid City next. Chadron State visiting South Dakota Mines. Renewed rivalry. You haven't seen this matchup for many, many years. Some people probably go to the game Saturday, have never seen it. The rivalry is renewed over the Eagle Rock Trophy. Chadron State and the Hard Rockers getting together. We'll get a preview from the head coach of the Chadron State Eagles, Jay Long. He joins me live next.
In 200, 2 and a quarter, 2 to the bid, 1 bomb to VP, want to get 200 to VP here, no 75, 275 now, 3.
Hi, folks. Kevin McPherson Auction Company. We can turn your property to cash. We can sell your personal property and your real estate at auction. A family business for 64 years and counting. We've sold several millions of dollars in property over the years. We're happy to consult with you on your auction plans. Let our selling experience work for you. Call McPherson Auction, 605-348-1369. Visit us on our web at McPhersonAuction.com.
Sold it here for $575.
How would you like to have your crown in 2 hours instead of 2 visits? Hi, this is Dr. Eldon Rice with Rice Area Dental in Rapid City. Technology is changing, and at Rice Area Dental, we are keeping up by using the latest state-of-the-art equipment. We offer crowns in hours instead of days. No more temporaries, no more multiple visits, no messy dental impressions, just same-day restorations.
Call us at 342-RICE. That's 342-7423. Dr. Rice Area Dental on Canyon Lake Drive, the dentist that makes you smile.
You've got it locked on South Dakota's sports talk show, SD Sports Buzz Tonight with Nate Brown on Kim Radio. Talk that matters.
Welcome back, SD Sports Buzz Tonight on 106.7 FM Kim Talk Radio. Here with Nate Brown, also streaming online. We welcome everybody watching the program at SDSportsBuzz.com. If it's Wednesday night, South Dakota Sports Talk Night. Last week of the high school football regular season, we've got a lot of interviews still to come. I've been talking about this game, though, Saturday, the college football rivalry that we haven't seen for many, many years. is renewed on Saturday at 1 o'clock kickoff at O'Hara Stadium. Chadron State at South Dakota Mines in a Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference battle. We already had Zach Tinker on earlier, the Hard Rocker head man. Now for the other side, the other perspective, Chadron State head coach giving us some time. Jay Long joins us from Chadron on the Mel's Auto Body Sports Line. Coach, how are you?
Hey, I'm really great. It's good to hear back from you. It's been a while since you and I have touched base.
I know what I think about this, Coach, and you've had a history, obviously, people that maybe haven't followed you, played at Chadron, went and coached at Black Hills, and then got the head job back at Chadron. I look at this program that you have. I got to ask you right out of the gate, Chadron State football, proud tradition, no question about it. I look at your schedule. You got 5 losses on the board. A lot of those games I felt could have gone either way. Is there a frustration down there right now? How have you tried staying dialed in here, knowing that still a lot of football left, but is there a frustration with some of those close games?
Oh, Nate, I mean, obviously when we started off the season, this wasn't what we were, expecting out of it. We have a young team, and we've lost 3 games by a total of 13 points. And our guys are in every game. We just when you have a young team, they end up you got to show them different scenarios. And I'm proud of our guys. They're continuing to battle. As far as our mentality goes, our kids are still battling every week, and like I said, they know that this is not where we want to be. But we still have 5 more games left in the year, and we are excited. We had a big win last week. We need to build off that, and we're excited to go up to the hills and play South Dakota School Mines. And you forgot one other thing when you're talking about where I'm from. I'm also from Red Owl, South Dakota, and I played high school at Sturgis, so I'm definitely a Hills guy.
I knew that. You were a high school football player, and do I dare say wrestler in Sturgis? Wrestler?
Oh, for sure, I was a wrestler at Sturgis. I think that when you go through those hallways, you got to learn that you better wrestle right away. So.
No doubt. Speaking of proud tradition, Sturgis wrestling, no question. I look at it, the stretch you had, Coach. Win your first game against Fort Lewis. That's just how you wanted to start. Then you go through a 5-game stretch, a 5-game losing streak. What was the message you've had to tell your guys? You said we've got some young guys. What was the message you tell them?
The biggest thing is we really focus on the process of how we do things. And early on, we played 2 teams they were been ranked as high as 10 in the country. We played Humboldt, who was ranked 10th in the nation earlier in the year, and Colorado School Mines has been ranked. Colorado Mesa has been ranked as high as 10th in the country. And we were in both of those 2 games, and you can see the positives of what our team's doing. It just comes down to putting 4 full-time quarters together. And, we talked a lot about we can't be a roller coaster team. And what I mean by that is, we got to put together 4 quarters. It's not about riding the highs and riding the lows. And when you look at a young team, that's what they tend to do. When things are going good, we are really good. And when things are going bad, we have a tendency to go that same direction. And good football teams don't do that. And when I've been down here, we've won 9-3, 8-3, 8-3, and we've had great records and great teams. And we went to the playoffs and those type of things. And the things that was different from those teams and the team that we have now is that we were steady and we believed in our process. We believed in our system. And I'm not saying our kids don't believe in them right now. It's just that they ride them highs and they ride them lows. And last week was a huge win for us, and we put together all 4, quarters, and all 3 phases of the ball, offensively, defensively, and special teams. And we're looking forward to build on that against a good South Dakota School Mines team.
I want to ask you about this rivalry here. You played at Chadron State. You know what this rivalry could be. Chadron State and South Dakota Mines haven't played for a long time, but they played years ago. Every year, some good games over the years. Now the first time getting together again. Is there a different emotion with this matchup a little bit Saturday?
I'd say more than anything, it's just there's some unknowns. We've never played them before, and the last time that we played them was actually I was on the field. It was 1996, and I was fall of 1995. Excuse me, and I was a redshirt freshman, and That was the last time we played them. And then BH, both of them after that year, we went to the RMAC full-fledged, and we couldn't play them no more. But as far as, a rivalry goes, our guys don't know enough about South Dakota School Mines to become, that way. The one part of it is that, distance-wise, we are close. We're close to them, or we're close to Black Hills, and I don't think we'll ever match the rivalry of like Black Hills and Tech. I mean, that one there is an amazing one. When I was a part of that, those are games those wins were some of the best memories I've had, and those losses were one of the worst memories I've had. And I would say as far as us and Black Hills and Tech becoming a rivalry, I think that there, can be in the future, but it starts with us playing them and us going out there and executing our game plan and those type of things.
Jay Long, Chadron State head football coach, on tonight on the Mel's Auto Body Sports Line. Saturday afternoon, great matchup. Chadron State, South Dakota Mines, a 1 o'clock kickoff at O'Hara Stadium. South Dakota Mines has been really balanced offensively. A lot of good production there. Rapid City quarterback Jake Sullivan. What do you see when you see them?
Him, exactly. He's a terrific quarterback. Jake's a kid that, he went to our camp for numerous years, 4 years of high school, and he came, St. Thomas More comes down to our high school camp every summer, and, he's a kid that's, been outstanding since he was just a young kid, and when he was a senior in high school, we tried to recruit him to death, and he wanted to be an engineer, but, he's a great football player, and he's a big part of their offense. I mean, he has that run option and pass option, and, he's a RPO, as we call it. They have a run-pass option on every single play, and, he's good at it. And he's a kid that we definitely got to be aware of, and we got to make sure on defense that we are, sound with our schemes, and you got to be disciplined because that type of offense, feeds upon undisciplined players, and and Jake does a great job of running it.
I look at this RMAC conference, Coach. You guys have been in the mix, as you said, the last few years right there. It's been a great conference with a lot of good teams at the top. Now you've got this parity. I don't know if I've seen it quite before. 5 teams at 5-2 at the top, and there's just so people beating anybody on any given week. What's your perspective of this RMAC conference this year?
I think that really what happens is when you're looking at our parity is it comes down to depth. And one of the reasons why we're a young team is we've had some real tough injuries earlier on in the season, and we've been playing most of the year with about 5 defensive starters out, and then our starting quarterback has also been out a big chunk of these first parts, and Matt Vincent's done a terrific job of stepping in and being the guy. Last year he started numerous games, so I mean that part isn't a big part of it. But when you're looking at it, the depth in our conference is really, I think, what's made it parity. Colorado Mesa, they got ranked all the way up in 10th in the country, and then they dropped their last 2. Well, right. They've had 7 guys on there, 7 starters get injured throughout the year, and what really happens is the kids. That parity starts happening, with that, but I like you. I agree with you also. Our conference is very, very balanced, and each week, whoever comes up and puts together those 4 quarters, you're going to have a great opportunity.
That's why everybody's excited about Saturday, Coach. Really looking forward to it. Chadron State head man Jay Long, they pay a visit to South Dakota Mines, renewing the rivalry, battle for the Eagle Rock Trophy, Saturday at 1 o'clock, Hard Rockers and Eagles. Coach, I appreciate it. We'll see you Saturday. Thanks.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate it.
You bet. Jay Long tonight. Nice guy. Known him for quite a few years. Doing a nice job. Head coach at Chadron State. Not where they want to be win-loss right now. But I'll tell you, a big win last week, 73-0 over New Mexico Highlands as they get set to pay a visit to the 5-2 Hard Rockers. You don't want to miss it. Saturday at 1 at O'Hara Stadium. We come right back and talk about the matchup tomorrow night at O'Hara Stadium. Last week of the high school regular season, we got to preview Central and Stevens, and we'll start with the Cobbler head coach, Rob Sales. What does he think about his team going into this game tomorrow night at O'Hara. We'll talk to Rob Sales next.
Your local Farm Bureau Financial Services agent Tom Berger in Rapid City realizes that farming and ranching is your livelihood, and he understands that. After all, the companies of Farm Bureau Financial Services were originally founded to serve the unique insurance and financial services needs of farmers and ranchers. Contact Farm Bureau agent Tom Berger in Rapid City to learn how he can make it simple to help you select the coverage that's right for you today and provide options for the future of your growing operation.
Call me, Tom Berger, your Farm Bureau agent in Rapid City at 348-3470.
Make the mountains your backyard. Make the lake your pool and the night sky your high-definition television. Stop by Dakota Discount RVs today and take a look at our wide variety of new and used fifth wheels, travel trailers, toy haulers, and more. We're sure you'll find something you love at a price you can afford. We take pride in our integrity and service long after the deal, so why pay more for good memories when you can buy with a comfortable, low-pressure, locally owned and operated RV dealer? At Dakota Discount RV, we can make your dreams come true at an affordable price.
3330 East Mall Drive, Rapid City.
Fall is in the air, and now is a great time to get into a pre-owned all-wheel drive vehicle with low rates and payments. Buy a 2015 Chevy Equinox all-wheel drive for $296 a month. No money down, no payments for 90 days. Buy a 2015 Chevy Cruze for $199 a month. No money down, no payments for 90 days. The largest selection of certified and used vehicles in western South Dakota. Your new road starts here. Feel the difference at Rapid Chevrolet Cadillac. Exit 60 Rapid City or online at rapidchevrolet.com.
Welcome back, SD Sports Buzz tonight here with Nate Brown. Glad to have you on board. Last week of the high school regular season this week. We've got Central Stevens tomorrow night at O'Hara Stadium, the Rapid City rivalry. And we've talked about it here tonight, Saturday afternoon, Chadron State, South Dakota Mines, a 1 o'clock kickoff on Saturday afternoon. Big week for football. Glad to have you on board, and we're streaming live at sdsportsbuzz.com, and we go to the Mel's Auto Body Sports Line to talk to Rapid City Central head coach Rob Sales as he gets set for the Raiders tomorrow night. Coach, how are you?
I'm doing quite well, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. What's this? Are you getting used to the talk, the community aspect, the whole rivalry piece here with Stevens Central? Are you getting used to it? I mean, the kids know each other, but it's still a really emotional game, emotional week. What's your feelings right now getting ready for tomorrow night?
You know, the boys always have a little extra pep in their step. They got another gear that they go to during this week, and that's fantastic. You love to see a kid go, you know, I got to sell out this week more than I would any other week because of bragging rights, and you think rivalry, this, that, and then another. The kids look at rivalries probably a little bit different than what we did growing up. Rivalry, you weren't too social with that individual any other time of the year either. These boys, they all grow up together, they play baseball together, and they do different things, and then it's just kind of bragging rights, really. You got that city bragging right game, so the kids are ready to go. As a coach, kind of get into it a little bit too, because everybody goes to the same meetings, working in the same district, so you kind of like to be able to be the one giving a little bit of grief instead of catching it.
Yeah, right. I want to get your take on that. You mentioned it a little bit. Our rivalries let alone this rivalry, but there's this rivalry. It's great. I love covering it, seen it over the years. Then in any rivalry, are rivalry these days with kids not as, let's say, bitter? Was that accurate? I mean, is that kind of what you were saying?
As a generic statement, I would say, yeah, probably not to where they were when we were in school or even prior to us. There's a lot of geographical stuff to it. You have open enrollment. Do you have this? Do you have that? How the sports programs work in the town and stuff like that. And, when you got open enrollment and you got a kid that can bounce back and forth a little bit, they got rules about you can move one time and this, that, and another. But at the same time, before, you would never even think about going to that school.
Right.
Right.
And now they play together in, little guy football and whatever it might be. I kind of get your take. The interesting part about that is sometimes if you have the mutual respect, as long as you have the respect, sometimes it can get pretty heated. I mean, even playing sometimes when you played against your friend, Coach, I'm sure you wanted to get after him even more than some of these other guys. When you, like you said, when you kind of know the other guys, you want to get after them even more.
Yeah, there's a reason I probably didn't have too many friends growing up,
That could be. Let me talk about your program here. I've said you've made big strides. We've talked about it all year. The progress from last year to this point now, this year, seems like big progress. That gives you a great feeling, I think, going into tomorrow night. Is this the best opportunity you've seen for your team to continue that progress?
Yeah, you could say that. I mean, we got a team full of guys that have been playing together in this program with no changes for the last 2.5 years. They've trained together in the off season. They what's the saying? The blood, sweat, and the tears. They've shed them all together. And so when they go into a game, the reason you see that growth is that you always got those stereotypes of brotherhood and those sayings like that with football. And these guys actually do look at each other like a family, like that brotherhood. And so that's why we're able to see some of that growth. If you don't get that piece in a football program, it doesn't matter what you do. If they're not out there fighting for each other, it's not going to happen. So it's been nice to see that this year, especially coming towards the end of the year. We've really started to clean some things up. I'll probably jinx myself now saying that, but, we've cleaned up the turnovers. We've cleaned up the penalties, especially on long plays in crucial situations. Those guys they know that they're doing it for the guy next to them. They've kind of gotten rid of the me attitude that we kind of had at the beginning because everybody's fighting for accolades and this, that, and another. And they finally figured out that, the team success is going to give you that individual success. And so we're starting to see that. And like I told you, when you come into the crosstown game and bragging rights, they're willing to go that next step too. It's kind of like some things that you alluded to with, you go a little harder, especially if it is your buddy,
Yeah, no doubt. I think tomorrow night will be a really interesting matchup. I see it as a pretty evenly matched game. You guys have made enough strides from last year to this year that I put you right in there. I think Stevens also, though, has improved. I think Scott Hagan and the Raiders have improved. They run the ball well. That's kind of been their MO over the last couple of years with Youngblood last year, and now they got some good running backs. So what do you think about Stevens? I think they've improved as well.
Oh, definitely. Coach Hagan's got some things going over there. He's got some athletes to work with, and, they're drinking the Kool-Aid, per se. They're kind of believing in what he's got going, and they're playing hard for him, and they are a very improved team. And it's kind of good to see Rapid City to have some success, because if one side of town gets it, then the other side kind of gets a little motivated too. So both of us winning a couple games and having that improvement, and you look at the box scores and things, you're closing gaps, and you're able to play with some teams. And, if as soon as we get that going on both sides of the town, and then you kind of start getting that depth built up, then the rest of the state's going to be going, oh, okay, well, we really got to focus up. We got to have a clean week, things like that, when they're either playing Stevens or Central, and that's kind of the thing you want,
I look at it, Coach. I don't want to put all the eggs in one basket in one game. You can't do it. But with a win tomorrow night, it seems like it, really builds your program, continues to do it. We talk about the momentum you have. I don't know, there's still playoffs and things like that, but a win against Rapid City Stevens, what does that do for your program at Central?
It does a lot. The biggest part of it would be morale-based, You can always say, yeah, you got some wins, you did this. Yeah, you can get into the stats of things, but I look at winning that crosstown game is a huge morale boost, and it kind of brings a little bit of pride into your school. You got some of those kids that maybe are on the fence are playing, of not playing, coming back out that maybe didn't play this year but played last year. You know, those kind of kids. You win a game like this and you show some things and you play pretty solid, those kids are ready to play for you again. You know, for whatever reason they took a break, whatever reason they stepped away, those kids kind of look at it and go, you know what, I want to be a part of what's going on. And the morale part of a win tomorrow night would be huge for the Cobbler program.
I'll let you run with this. Central head coach Rob Sales on tonight before the Central Stevens game tomorrow night at O'Hara Stadium. What is the challenge Stevens is going to provide tomorrow night?
They got some athletes and they can get them the ball. So you got to limit the times that they can get the ball to them and let them work in space. We want to close that space down, and we got to get some pressure on that quarterback. So that's the biggest things that we've got to do, and we'll see. It'll be a good test, see if we can do it.
I look forward to it. Rob Sales, head coach for the Cobblers. Thanks, Coach.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
All right, Rob Sales giving us a preview of the crosstown rivalry tomorrow night at O'Hara Stadium. We'll talk to Scott Hagan, Rapid City Stevens head coach, just moments away. First, we go to St. Thomas More, where the Cavaliers are battling. Man, oh man, they are in the top tier of 11A, but you just don't know how this playoff scenario is going to go. They're close. They're close to the playoffs, and St. Thomas More, one of the favorites. We'll talk to Wayne Sullivan, head coach for the Cavaliers, next.
Dale's Tire and Retreading has been providing quality brands of tires and excellent service to the Black Hills area for over 50 years. Dale's Tires sells tires for cars, trucks, SUVs, agriculture, construction, and more. Dale's Tire has what you need when you need it and offers appointment times to get you in and out faster. See the experts at Dale's Tire and Retreading. 2 convenient locations in Rapid City, 691 Deadwood Avenue and 3200 Campbell Street. Dale's Tire and Retreading. Looking for a winning team? Check out the Black Hills unbeatable tandem of Xerox and the color experts at Matheson's. Hit a home run with the Xerox Workcenter MFP today, and you'll be able to print, copy, and scan your crucial business documents and marketing materials just like the pros do. Matheson's cost per copy program is the safe play every time. You pay nothing up front for the equipment, and the high cost of supplies and repairs become a nightmare of the past. Visit the Matheson's team of Xerox All-Stars at 324 St. Joe Street, downtown Rapid City, or at mathesons.com. Real South Dakota Sports Talk for real South Dakota sports fans. This is SD Sports Buzz Tonight with Nate Brown on Kim Radio. Talk that matters.
Welcome back to SD Sports Buzz Tonight. Nate Brown live on 106.7 FM, Kim Talk Radio, and streaming online at sdsportsbuzz.com, where you can hear all the interviews from tonight's program. If you miss anybody live, go to sdsportsbuzz.com. All the coaches, all the guests, right there. The podcast will be posted tomorrow at sdsportsbuzz.com. Exciting week of football. I've been excited about this. Last week of the high school regular season, you always have that, and the special Thursday night games. Then Saturday afternoon, a big matchup with the Hard Rockers and Chadron State. First time they've played each other since 1995. The rivalry renewed in the RMAC. We had both of those coaches on, Zach Tinker for the Hard Rockers, Jay Long for Chadron State moments ago. Exciting stuff, and now we preview the high school end of the regular season, the playoffs coming up, and I don't want to skip over this last week here for St. Thomas More by any means, but I always have it on my mind. You always talk St. Thomas More football, and you talk, okay, how deep are they going to go into the playoffs? That's kind of been the talk over quite a few years now. And the head coach of the Cavaliers, they are 8-0. It's Wayne Sullivan back on the Mel's Auto Body Sports Line. Coach, how are you?
Oh, fantastic, Nate. Thanks for having me on.
I look at, I said it, Coach, there in the pre-introduction there. It seems like everybody just talks about St. Thomas More. Okay, they're going to have a great regular season. They're probably going to go undefeated in the regular season. Everybody acts like, well, now just how far are they going to go in the playoffs? When you hear that, I'm not the only one. There's a lot of people saying, well, let's just wait here. They'll go 8-0, 9-0, and then let's see how far they can make it in the playoffs. What's that say about the program?
Well, first of all, thanks for the vote of confidence. That's always good to have. But, we're at the place in our program that, yes, 2 goals we set every year. 1 is to win the Black Hills Conference, and 2, win the state championship. And we're still gearing up to get our first one. And As it looks right now, going into the playoffs, we'll hopefully go as far as we can and get our second goal.
You look at the schedule. Started out with Roncalli, beat them pretty handily on the road with Aberdeen Roncalli, a team that's had been pretty good over the years. Beat Hot Springs in a shutout. Hot Springs only has one loss right now. You beat Douglas 28-7. Douglas has had some wins, like they just beat Yankton. They beat Brookings. So a lot of people say the strength of schedule the East people say strength of schedule maybe not great. How do you feel the strength of the schedule's been this year as opposed to other years? I feel like there's been a couple games here where you've played well. The opponents you played been pretty good, though. What's your strength of schedule like?
Well, there's some truth to the strength of schedule, just because if you look at some of their records. But I will tell you, West River football is improving. And, yes, we're very blessed to play some AA schools, Spearfish, Sturgis, Douglas. And, again, you said it. Douglas knocks off the number 3 team in AA, beat Brookings, played Harrisburg, who's number 1, to a 21-21 tie into the third quarter. Coach Magic's got a great thing going on. As far as the strength of schedule, I think one of the things East River will probably have the edge is they have a dogfight every week. You mentioned that we've had 3 or 4 that have been great tests. But in order for us to prove every single year is to have 6, 7, 8 games where we get smacked in the mouth.
I look at what you've done recently, 50-point win over Bellefouche last week. You put up 52 against Spearfish, and you ran away pretty early in that one. They scored some late. You ran away pretty early there. In these big wins and easy wins, it looks like, what have you seen from your guys that you've liked? What are you taking away when you're watching film, when you're looking at and evaluating your guys? Are you right where you want to be in a lot of places?
Well, I think Coach Sales did it very well when he said you got to do the little things, clean up the little things. And that's one of the things I've been impressed with this team. Again, we've been able to do the little things, as that was our focus. We got snake bit last year in the playoffs. A couple little mistakes here and there cost us on a kick return, on a botched extra point. Those are the things that cost you. And I think one of those things we've been able to clean up is making sure we do the little things right. And when our varsity team is on the field and work and click together, good things have happened for us.
Has there been, we're talking to Wayne Sullivan, St. Thomas More head coach. They're 8-0, getting set to wrap up the regular season. They host Todd County tomorrow, and then they'll get set for the playoffs. Is there any concern, Coach, when you've looked at your matchups in any of the games you've had this year so far, and then you compare maybe some of the teams you're going to run into in the playoffs, any concern with the guys up front at all? It seems like they've done a nice job. Really, guys we haven't heard a lot about coming into this year. What's been the story up front? Because that's where it always gets done in late October, early November.
Well, I think one of the best things we did this year was moving a couple athletes from running back position, and they did it for the team. They moved to our front line. And our offensive line is as athletic as we've had at this program. And those type of lines is what gets us deep and even into the dome. Those are the type of guys that when they give it up for the team, and the team sees that, they rally around it, and they know they sacrifice. And that's one of the big things this year. So our offensive line, I think, has really gelled these past 8 weeks, and their athleticism has just gotten better into our system. One of the things that we've been able to do more this year is we've probably only got about 6 or 7 guys that actually play one way. So platooning right now has been a big factor for us. We've been able to have depth, being able to be clean on both sides of the ball, not so exhausted as years in the past, where we might only have 2 guys go one way. So I think those are the things that have helped us.
I look at defensively in some of the games I've seen. You shut down the run, you shut down the pass. It seems like too, but a lot of tackles in the backfield, some run blitzes, a lot of stunts. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on for Coach Nawati and that defense, and I don't think that's much different from other years. It seems like a lot of stunts, a lot of movement on the defensive side, a lot of shifts Is that something that this defense needs, is to rely on the speed, the shifts, the run blitz? What's the defensive side look like up front?
Well, one of the things is we wanted to be extremely aggressive. We feel last year at our last game against Lennox, we were physical, we were in our spots, but we weren't going with our hair on fire. I think that's one of the great things Coach did this year defensively. He's going to get them there, but he's going to send them so that they're there in a bad mood. And that's really helped us this year, and our defense has really bought into it. But again, a lot of these kids put on a lot of time this past spring and summer. They've gotten a lot faster, a lot more physical. So I think that's the biggest part and the difference this year's defense.
I don't want you to look past this regular season wrap-up, but I'll just ask you the question about the playoff scenario, because it sure seems like you're going to be in a good position no matter if the wheels fell off this week. You'll be in a good spot, and if things go well for you this week, you'll be in a darn good spot sitting, seems like, the 2 seed. Does this whole playoff scenario matter much to you? Madison gets knocked off. It puts them at 3. That could set up a potential problem down the road, but you obviously have a lot of things to get done there. What do you look like when you see the playoff scenario?
Well, here's the deal. In Class A, again, they take the top 8, just like AA and AAA. And when you get down to the final 8, you got cream of the crop. You got guys that are 7-1, 6-2, 9-0. Whoever you have, it's going to come down to, one, yes, where you play. We'll be very blessed to hopefully have home field all the way through. And in that case, again, it's going to come down to who's more physical, who wants it more. Because any one of the 8 teams that are left can beat anybody at any given time, and that's been evident over the past few years, especially in A. And those are the things that we're going to focus on now that we control what we can control. We've got to be physical. We've got to make sure we keep our intensity for 4 quarters, because from here on out it will be 4 quarters of football. And so that's some of the things we focused on, as far as getting our conditioning in, making sure that we're ready for that part. But the biggest thing is it's going to come down to the heart. It's going to come down to who wants it more. And that's, I truly believe, right now we are in the top tier. I think we're in the top 4 in the state in A. It's going to come down to least amount of mistakes and who's going to be more physical the 48 minutes.
The 11A playoff scenario looks really, really good. It looks really interesting. Head coach St. Thomas More, they're unbeaten. Wayne Sullivan. Thanks, Coach.
I appreciate it, Nate.
All right, Wayne Sullivan tonight on the Mel's Auto Body Sports Line. Appreciate his time. Head coach of the undefeated Cavaliers, looking salty, looking really salty, no question. Great offense and really shut down defense this year. That's the thing that people, really aren't pointing out. I mean, shut down defense, folks. Some of the points they've given up, it's been really late, actually. I mean, it's been with some of the 2s and 3s in the game. I mean, the shutdown defense has been unbelievable. And the offense, really good. Just good production all the way around for St. Thomas More. Well, keep your eye on it. 11A football playoffs going to be really interesting to watch this year. We come right back and talk to Coach Dan Maciejczak, head coach for the Douglas Patriots. They knock off Yankton last week. Nobody saw it coming except for Coach Magic. He'll join me live next.
Come here, Claire Lopez, strategic policy and intelligence expert, former CIA operations officer, and current vice president for research and analysis at the Center for Security Policy. Claire Lopez will speak on the state of our national security at the Rapid City Ramkota, Saturday night, October 29th at 6:30. Claire Lopez, the state of our national security, Saturday night, October 29th at the Rapid City Ramkota. For more information, go to Act for America SD on Facebook.
Listen to what Pro Auto Care customers have to say.
You definitely can trust Tom and Carl and Chris. They are very good mechanics. They always do what's best for their customers and their customers' vehicles. They will always let you know the problems completely before they do any work on your vehicle. And since I've met Tom, I won't take my car any place but Pro Auto Care.
Pro Auto Care. Phone 342-0857, 1891 Rand Road, Rapid City.
When it comes to protecting your home and your belongings, what works for your neighbor most likely won't work for you. Insurance is personal, and that's why the coverage specialists at Fisher Rounds & Associates work with you to tailor a policy that protects your family, home, auto, and other valuable possessions at the most reasonable cost possible. We sweat the small and the big stuff, so you don't have to. That's at your service, at your side. Fisher Rounds & Associates, with offices in Pierre, Mitchell, Rapid City, Sioux Falls, and Watertown.
Welcome back. Nate Brown live on 106.7 FM Chem Talk Radio and online at sdsportsbuzz.com. It's SD Sports Buzz tonight. Last week of the high school regular season. Douglas Patriots. Big win last week over Yankton. I mean, big win. I don't know if it's the biggest program win over the last couple of years. It might be, but I'll ask the head coach for that. And they get set to host Belle Fourche tomorrow night. And then the Patriots enter in the 11 AA playoffs. Head coach of Douglas is Coach Dan Machacek. He's on the Mel's Auto Body Sports Line. Coach, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you this evening?
I'm doing well. I look at your season here. You beat Brookings, double OT. I don't know if people saw that coming. Hiccup against Spearfish, I think one you want back, and then played great defensively against St. Thomas More. Couldn't get it going offensively. I thought you were right there against a great Harrisburg team. You had tied 21-21, and then things got away. Then you come back and you beat Yankton. Nobody saw that coming. Last 2 weeks, Coach, even though you lost one to Harrisburg, now you beat Yankton. Last 2 weeks, is your football team playing the best you've seen?
Yeah, we are. I mean, we're finally starting to come together as a football team, and I think we're kind of still looking forward a little here and there. I think I'm probably the only coach in football that's still moving kids around and starting them in different spots, still trying to kind of fine-tune, I think, what we have. And, and the kids are playing hard, working hard, and we're kind of finally putting it all together, and offensively we struggle here and there, but Branson Taylor, is a great running back for us and a great kid, and we got some other weapons. We just got to kind of figure out how to utilize them more times.
Why did things go awry after a good battle for a few quarters against Harrisburg?
Well, I think, number one, we kind of ran out of steam. We were battling with those guys, 21-21, like you said. We went down, and I kind of noticed, when you go and you break down film, you're kind of figuring out, what goes on. We were still doing things right, but the thing that was keeping us in that game was the fact that we were tackling, low, and we were finishing plays. And kind of when we got tired, and, we don't have a lot of kids. We traveled 27 kids to Harrisburg, and we kind of play with probably about 19.
Ooh.
And so our numbers aren't quite deep enough, right now, I think. But, I think for us, once we got there, we gave up that score on the little swing, and we got tired. We just didn't swarm to the ball, and that's kind of one of the things that we kind of attribute our defense to, is being that physical, undersized football team, but we're going to get 11 man to the ball.
Were you proud of how your guys really, they were in the game against Harrisburg, then ended up getting away from them? Sometimes it would be hard to bounce back. Well, now we got Yankton, and Yankton's been pretty good in a lot of games. What were you most proud of? That's a pretty good effort. You come back, you win at 14-7.
I think for us, being proud kind of is just our work ethic, and we practice Thursday mornings at 6:00, and that's kind of just what we call our pro day to get ready to go. But after week one, when we got beat by Huron, I think our kids kind of realized that if we could kind of figure some stuff out, we're going to be good. So, the best thing for us is our work ethic. We go in the morning at 6:00 until we get ready for school and have to be there. Then we turn right around and practice on Thursday as soon as school gets out for another hour and 45 minutes. So I think the work ethic of the kids is, the biggest thing. But, I think playing St. Thomas More, when our defense went out and, we got put in some bad spots because our offense wasn't functioning at any level. But, 7-0 against a great football team. I mean, their offense is one of the top around. And for us to be able to do what we could do defensively, I think kind of just left us build and let us understand that if we can do things right, we can play with anybody in the state.
Yeah, it's interesting. That was a big win over Yankton. What does that do for you coming into this week now? Try and pick up back-to-back wins. That would be the first time you've done it this year, and win 2 weeks in a row to try and set yourself up, see what you can do.
Well, I kind of feel that these kids the whole season has been a learning experience. We go and we beat Brookings, and we turn around and didn't play very well at all against Spearfish. I mean, Spearfish is a good football team, not taking that away from them, but I felt like our kids kind of were living in the limelight still of beating Brookings, and they kind of thought that they were really good. And we went out and got our butts handed to us, and so we kind of learned that lesson. And then we've kind of progressively been learning lessons through the course of the season, knick-knacking things, tweaking here and there. But I think the big lesson that we've learned out of that game was, we go and we beat Yankton at home. Played a great football game, I thought. Hard-nosed, fought football game, kind of what we like to be in. And prep for this week right here is don't let history repeat itself right here. We are not going to overlook Belle-Fourche. I mean, they're a good football team. They play with teams for a while. They're not a garbage football team. They're up and coming, young kids, scrappy, and so hopefully for us, we can go out and take care of business there on Thursday.
I'll let you run with this. As you get set for the last game tomorrow, the regular season, then the playoff scenario, what have you seen from these guys? You said we've been young, we've learned the game, we've learned that we can win. What's been the biggest growth for this football team, maybe X's and O's wise? Where have you made some strides that might set you up okay?
I think, number one, defensively, we are understanding what we need to do. I mean, our outside linebackers are starting to play football. They have to understand. We understand as a team, as a defense, that when somebody runs the ball at us, it's not our job to make the play. It's our job to force the play to go somewhere else and rely on our teammates. Offensively, we still struggle a little bit, but I think what we have been able to do is kind of start throwing the ball a little bit. We are not going to wow you with our passing game, but teams are putting 8-9 guys in the box. So I think, number one, we're figuring out how to block that so that we can still be productive, but kind of take advantage of some different situations, some key matchups where we can get some basic passing combinations where we can kind of loosen up the defense and get back to running the ball because, we're going to be a smash-mouth football team, play great defense, and it'll give us a chance.
Yeah, something tells me you're not going to go to the 5 wide anytime soon. Something tells me that, but you're still having success. What you want to do in certain games, some big wins, some learning experiences, and you try and get one tomorrow and then get set to see what happens. Coach Dan Maciejczak, head coach out at Douglas, trying to win back-to-back games after a big win over Yankton. They face Belle-Fourche out at Box Elder tomorrow night. Coach, I appreciate it. Thanks.
Hey, thank you for having us, and thank you for covering us all season. We appreciate it.
You bet. Good stuff from Douglas. An interesting team over the last few years. There's no doubt. I mean, they've been doing things right. Just a few weeks here or there where they haven't been able to get it done this year, and then some big wins. I mean, that was a big one over Yankton this past week, and now the Patriots try and set themselves up to see what could happen here in the postseason. Head coach for Douglas, Dan Maciejczak, on the Mel's Auto Body Sports Line tonight. We'll get the other preview from the Rapid City game tomorrow night, Stevens and Central. We talked to the Cobbler head man, Rob Sales. Feels confident about the Stevens head coach, Scott Hagan. He'll give us a preview of tomorrow night's game. Coach Hagan next.
In Rapid City, you've got a friend in real estate. Hi, I'm Ellen Roach. When buying or selling your home or property, Will Dixon is the man to see.
Will invites you to experience the Keller Williams culture. Whether you're buying or selling, he can assist you through the entire process with a free market analysis and advise you on all your options. Will handles all phases of real estate and has built a track record for success. Call Will Dixon at Keller Williams Black Hills, 390-1140, and let him be your friend in real estate.
Paying 200, 2 and a quarter, 2 to the bid, 20 bomb, VP, want to get 200 VP here, 75, 275, now 3.
Hi, folks. Kevin McPherson Auction Company. We can turn your property to cash. We can sell your personal property and your real estate at auction. A family business for 64 years and counting. We've sold several millions of dollars in property over the years. We're happy to consult with you on your auction plans. Let our selling experience work for you. Call McPherson Auction, 605-348-1369. Visit us on our web at McPhersonAuction.com.
Sold it here for $575.
How would you like to have your crown in 2 hours instead of 2 visits? Hi, this is Dr. Eldon Rice with Rice Area Dental in Rapid City. Technology is changing, and at Rice Area Dental, we are keeping up by using the latest state-of-the-art equipment. We offer crowns in hours instead of days. No more temporaries, no more multiple visits, no messy dental impressions, just same-day restorations.
Call us at 342-RICE. That's 342-7423. Dr. Rice Area Dental on Canyon Lake Drive, the dentist that makes you smile.
You're listening to SD Sports Buzz Tonight with Nate Brown on Kim Radio. Talk that matters.
At Farm Bureau, we know life insurance might not be the first thing on your mind today or any other day, but we also know that deep down, everyone wants to do the right thing for their family, and that means protecting what matters most. You might not want to think about life insurance right now, but right now is the right time to talk to a Farm Bureau agent. We'll make it easy for you. Farm Bureau agents make insurance simple.
Call me, Tom Berger, your Farm Bureau agent in Rapid City, at 348-3470.
Welcome back, SD Sports Buzz tonight. It's Nate Brown getting set for the Rapid City rivalry tomorrow night. Stevens and Central doing battle. I think it's going to be nicer weather. I'm not a meteorologist tonight, but I think it's going to be nicer. A little wet tonight for practice and all that stuff. Should be pretty nice, I think, for Thursday night high school football. Stevens and Central. We talked to Rob Sales earlier this hour, head coach for the Cobblers. Confident with his guys. They've made some strides. And now we go over to the Stevens side. Head coach of the 3-5 Raiders is Scott Hagan. He joins us on the Mel's Auto Body Sports Line. Coach, how are you?
I'm doing well, Nate. Thank you.
Let's look at this season here, Coach. Here's how I've kind of analyzed your program. You're getting more guys buying in. The program's making strides. I really believe you've improved. I don't know if Central from last year to this year, pretty big, drastic improvement. It seems like they kind of went from 0 to 100 from last year to this year. It seems like your program has just gotten better. You've done some good things this year. What's your confidence level like? What's this program feeling like going into tomorrow?
Well, I think the kids are confident. They are looking really forward to the game, the big rivalry game with Central, and they know what's at stake, some bragging rights, some seeding for the state playoffs. So they're ready to play, short week, getting ready for the Cobblers, and they have spent a lot of time watching film and have had a really good week of practice.
Rob Sales said, you've got some playmakers over there. You just got some good athletes, some good playmakers. That's what he was concerned about. What do you say about Central? What's the challenge that Central brings tomorrow?
Well, I think the same can be said about them, and I think it all starts with Caleb at quarterback. He's one of those dual-threat quarterbacks that scrambles well. He gets himself out of some bad situations, and just when you think that when you're ready to tackle him, he breaks a 60-yard run, a 70-yard run. So that's really going to be our key, is to really key on Caleb and to try to control their front five guys on the offensive line, because they're big and physical. They remind us a lot of the Sioux Falls schools, just for how big they are, and they move very well. So we're going to have our hands full with their playmakers as well.
I wonder, you seem like your program has come along. You've had a little more success than Central. Is this the best Central team you've faced as coach here?
Well, I think my first year here was probably their best team, and a couple years ago when they had Dotson and Pakula and Pilato, I thought they were very good. But this is probably, I think, their best offensive line, and again with their playmaker in the backfield, that quarterback. He probably is the biggest threat, because you just don't know about Caleb, because like I said earlier, when you think you have him contained, he makes a great pass, and he scrambles well. So they're very similar from the last 4 years that we played them. Just kind of a couple different things here and there that makes them a little bit different.
Scott Hagan, Stevens.
They're a big physical team, and we've challenged our kids, Monday, Tuesday, and today about, accepting that challenge and having to play the best football you played all year.
We all hope it's not quite as wet tomorrow. I don't think it's going to be, all right? I think we're going to be a little better out of the rain tomorrow night, I think, and it should be a fun one. Stevens, Central, again tomorrow night, O'Hara Stadium, the Raiders head coach trying to get that fourth win, getting into the playoffs. Scott Hagan. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you very much, Nate.
All right, Scott Hagan tonight, giving us the last preview of the Cobblers and Raiders tomorrow night at O'Hara Stadium. I think one of the better matchups we'll see. I mean, just as far as evenly matched, I really believe that. this game's going to be evenly matched tomorrow night. Really interested in it. I appreciate all the guests tonight. Had a big lineup, a long lineup last week of the regular season for high school. Huge game Saturday afternoon at O'Hara Stadium. First time these two teams have matched up since 1995. Chadron State pays a visit to South Dakota Mines. The Hard Rockers trying to move their record to 6-2 with a prolific offense. Chadron State comes in. They just kind of ground and pound. It'll be an interesting matchup. 1 o'clock kickoff on Saturday as well with Chadron State and South Dakota Mines. Big week of football. Enjoy it. We come back next Wednesday better than ever on SD Sports Buzz tonight. If it's Wednesday night, it's South Dakota Sports Talk night. Thanks for listening, everybody. Nate Brown out the door. See you next week.
You've been listening to SD Sports Buzz tonight with Nate Brown.